Hey Gemini, how you doing? So this is your forecast taking you from your new moon, the new moon in Gemini, right the way through to the full moon in Sagittarius on the 11th of June. Now, this is a really interactive 2 weeks. I have to say the new moon is so super airy and light and highly detailed and concise in all of the planetary pictures. I do think some interesting things are going to happen at that time. But as we go towards the full moon in Sagittarius, everything is going into a very sort of fiery, active and bold and brighter and courageous kind of way. So I really do think there is this lovely change coming in that is giving us all these fresh ideas around the time of the new moon in Gemini, giving us a sense of a new start, really activating us to be lighter and freer. And as we're getting closer and closer to that full moon, boy, oh boy, are we ready to take action. So what I want to explore in this short video is how you go from A to B. Of course, I'm using a whole sign astrological Western tropical, that's a lot of words, isn't it? Model, putting your sign really, it's in the first house, from the first house to the seventh house, with these moons going across these important houses. It's really looking at your identity versus your partner's identity and everyone else's identity. It's really looking at you and the mirror of you and how they are working together. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Louise Satana Munson. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I love that. So anyway, there's a lot going on with this particular full moon. And, we've got Jupiter changing signs, Mercury, your ruler, changing signs. We've also got a Mercury Cazimi, by the way, and also Venus changing signs. Saturn just last week also changed signs. So there's a lot of posturing of the planets. So anyway, let's have a look. Before we bring up a chart, I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody that supports this channel and also supports my membership, also called Feel Good Astrology on the platform called School. You make a difference, all of your comments, your helpfulness, your donations, your super chats, if you buy me a coffee and so on and so forth, it all helps and it helps me to do what I love. So thank you so much. Anyway, let's get to these charts. So in this particular forecast, I'm looking at the new moon in Gemini chart. And like I said, it's very precise looking, isn't it? All of these planets are kind of grouped together and really vibing with each other, which doesn't always happen like this. And then when we look at the full moon chart, you'll see that the moon in this 2 weeks moves all the way around here to the sign of Sagittarius. So and you can see that as the planets have continued to move, for instance, the Sun and Mercury has moved from here right the way through to here in 2 weeks, which is a huge speed. He is really moving forwards. Venus has moved from here to here. All of this really makes a difference when we're looking at the charts. And this is why it's kind of blown up and got a little bit crazier. At the time of the full moon, there's this great big grand square involving the nodes. And there's also a grand trine between Mars, Chiron, and the moon. So there's some really big themes. And Chiron and Mars, and also Venus and Mars, they are keeping in their trine all the way through this particular, they're more collected and calm. And then it's more crazy. But this is particularly helpful. This is really showing that whatever we're putting our minds to, or whatever you're putting your mind to in this 2 weeks ahead, there's a really good balance between the male energy, the female energy, that kind of, I want to push forwards, but I don't want to be too pushy. It's actually really helping. To me, it shows that what's needed to succeed in this next 2 week period is to kind of have two kind of personas, that male, that female. And of course, Gemini, the twins, really does back that up, So anyway, this first house where this new moon is happening, this is really causing you to reflect on your identity. Who are you being right now? And how does that feel? Do you feel free? Do you feel like you're in your own space? Do you really feel like the you that came here is really being expressed right now? Do you feel like you know your purpose? I think these are all really big questions. And you might also look at your body a little bit and see, am I feeling creaky here? Is this aligned? What's going on? I always find when our ruling planet comes into our first sign, that's particularly helpful. Though I have to say Mercury at the start of this is under the beams of the sun, which means he's not working at full strength. But as he goes through this 2 week period, Mercury is gathering up strength and getting stronger and stronger and really being I think, lighting you up in such a way that you feel like you can chat, you know what's going on, information's coming in, you're relaying it. It really feels like you're that social being that you know yourself to be, which I think is delightful. So this new moon is, I think, bringing in a sense of joy, a sense of playfulness, a sense of how can I innovate my life right now? How can I be a bit more spontaneous? You know, Uranus behind the scenes is really helping this. He's giving us a clue. Whatever is going on in this 12 weeks, I think, is giving you a preview of what might start happening from July the 7th, when Uranus comes over into Gemini. And, he won't stay there permanently, but he will be going back in April of 2026. So, Uranus coming into this part of your chart is going to really shake it up. You're about to go through some really big identity changes, and all of these are aimed at loosening you up a bit, helping you feel much freer. You probably won't want to be interfered with too much. You won't want people getting close to you necessarily if they're going to be pushy. You're happy to have close companions, people that feel fun and inviting, but anyone that's trying to control how you're being and who you're being, boy, oh boy, will you give them a piece of your mind. But yeah, you're going through these changes. And so this particular form, this new moon, I think, is giving you a great sense of your desire for freedom and independence. It's useful, and it's really supported by Pluto. So that's always in the background. How can I be more free? How can I feel free to make my own decisions? How can I feel like I am free to experience joy? Often when people are trying to put things on you, it's not because they want to free you up. It's usually because they want you to do something that they think you should do. So often our lives are lived with a sense of expectation. But what's coming up here is this need to cut those ties of expectation. And you're in the right partnership if that person is already giving you a sense of freedom. I mean, that's something that I struggle with in terms of relationships. Like, you come together, like, I'm married, been married for 12 years. Is that right? Yeah, 12 years. And you know, like, the world thinks there are certain expectations that happen in a marriage or in a commitment. But wouldn't it be cool if there was a way to be committed whilst also being able to feel free enough to make your own decisions? And of course, then you ask yourself the question, well, why would I even get in a relationship anyway if I want to be free? So there's a balancing act to take place. I really do think that. And there's a lot to think about. So as we go through the days and get closer and closer to the full moon, Venus is moving out of this 11th area, which is highly social, and she's coming into this very reflective place. This is, I think, really helpful. It's showing that in terms of sociability, you've been very, very social in recent times. Venus coming through here is really, really helpful. And yet any pain of connections with people that you've experienced, anywhere where people that you've been connected to have let you down, disappointed you, or actually being quite malicious. Anywhere where there's been a feeling of bullying, which can really come up when Chiron comes through this part of your chart, all of that stuff. Venus is going to kind of wave her magic wand and not like correct it or cure it, but she's going to come up into a conjunction with Chiron on the 1st of June. And I think anywhere where you've been sick to the back teeth of being so social and so open and connecting to so many people and connecting in such a way that you might have a global vision or a community vision or a plan of action. You know how you hatch a plan every time you get together with people? To me, you're actually coming to the end of this. Venus is coming over here and lovingly reflecting on, why do you need so many people around you? Is this really because you need them, or is it coming from a place of insecurity? So I think you're getting a look at why you might be as social as you are. Is it because it's in your nature, or is it coming from a dysfunction? I mean, it's a big question to ask. And on the same day, on the 1st of June, Mercury makes a conjunction in your first house. So again, I think you're having this active dialogue with yourself in terms of your identity. Are you really as social as you think you are? And is it for the right reason? Nevertheless, as Venus is going, and I'm going to go to this other part of the chart now, as Venus moves into the 12th house, it does feel like you just want to quiet things down a little bit. Not see so many people, not be so visual. To me, it feels like it's time to rest a little bit, rest your heart a little bit, understand that there's always going to be people that want to connect with you, but that you can have some discernment about it. You don't have to rush. There's always lots of options. And interestingly, Venus in this lovely trine to Mars, I think is suggesting you can take your time. There's always going to be social activities going on. You're never not going to have the opportunity to socialize and take action in your community. Now, in this last week as well, I want to just draw your attention to these lovely little aspects here. So Mercury making a conjunction to Jupiter just here in your first house, and then Mercury goes into Cancer, and then straight after Jupiter goes into Cancer. To me, this is a really big step forwards. Mercury is your ruling planet. Jupiter is the opposite planet. It's not happy in your sign, but both of them are quite social. One is, Mercury, your one is very good at storytelling and like the black and whites, the AB3s, 1, 2, 3s, the facts and features of things, facts and figures of things. Whereas Jupiter is a lot more about the context and truth and deep diving and going on these random expeditions. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius Mercury, so I go on those journeys too. But, these two coming together, I think, is going to give you a new opportunity to see beyond the stories, like beyond the black and white, the true and false, and into a much deeper and rich scene. And you may well be applying that to yourself. Now, where these are both going is into your second house, which is about your resources, how you're living your life to earn more money, how you feel about yourself. And so I think these are both working together in quite a light, humid way, in quite an expansive way. It wants to communicate. So I think this is a perfect time for you if you're really wanting to change the way you work. There's going to be opportunities to talk about it and talk about it with kind-hearted people. Jupiter and Cancer are absolutely kind-hearted together for sure. So leading up to this full moon in Sagittarius, I really do think you're starting to see yourself from the eyes of your partners. And maybe you're picking up on some of their gripes about you, if they think you're being too independent, you're doing too much on your own, or whatever it is that's going on for them, whatever their story is about you. You're starting to see yourself from multiple different points of view and learning how this fits into your career. Like what difference does that make in your career? So as this full moon is coming up, if I was in your shoes, I think I would kind of condition myself to be listening but not reacting, to like listen to things and to lodge them and log them, say that's interesting. And my friend Sarah, who does have a strong Gemini feel to her chart, she may well be nodding and going, "Oh my God," because she actually says to me, "What if you could just listen to the information and see it as just information?" So, coming up to this full moon where you're likely to be triggered by other people in your world, it'd be interesting to say, "That's interesting that you have that point of view." It's interesting. So you're not taking it personally. You're not saying, "Yes, okay, you got me. This is how I am." Or, I was going to swear then. Or you might say, "No way, how could you possibly think that of me?" So you're really not reacting. You're just taking everything as information. And the reason I think it's important to do that is just so that you can collect more and more of it. Right now, you're in quite an acquisitive phase. You're acquiring feedback. I mean, this is what it is. For you, this 2 weeks period is going to give you all the feedback you need to know the next step in terms of how you're going to boost this lovely Jupiter in the second house energy. I will be talking about that in the Jupiter Cancer video that will be coming up next week. But yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of lovely changes. And if you can listen to the feedback without taking it personally, you might just strike gold. You might just get something really, really helpful. Now, I'm going to end it here. But before I go, I just want to say that, if you would benefit from something like a love and relationship forecast, a career and ambition or money forecast, every 2 weeks at the new moon and full moon, I do 2 of them. I do one of each even, but twice a month. So you can get 4 forecasts every single month if you're a member of my Feel Good Astrology membership. And so Here's how you can join if you're interested. You go to www.school.com/feelgoodastrology. And for every sign of the zodiac, just in the way that I've given you a forecast here, I use exactly the same charts, and I deep dive from a love perspective, and I deep dive from a career and money perspective. And if you value the information I've already given you, you'll realize that there's just so much more that comes out. It's so surprising. I also now do a daily forecast Monday to Friday, which you get the day before, so you can check out the energies coming up and have that intel from me. I also do 2 group sessions every fortnight, so it's 2 a month, where we talk about a subject in astrology and check it out with our charts. And it's a great way to learn from each other and to learn new techniques and share stuff. I don't know everything, and sometimes someone might say, oh, have you looked at this? And so it's an open discussion, which I find quite useful. I've got a morning drop in if you want to just ask me a quick question or something. And if you had considered having a consultation with me, you also get the benefit of 20% off. So if that sounds like something that you would love, obviously there's also the social aspect, especially for these Gemini people, there's a social aspect there as well. You can make friends. So if that sounds like something you would like to do, then just go to www.school.com/feelgoodastrology and get your 1 week free trial. So anyway, have a fantastic time in this 2 weeks. This is your time. This is the time for you to really explore who you are. And Gemini, I think you're going places. So there you go. Have a good one and catch you next time. Bye for now.